Carnivals are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be exciting. You go to carnivals for the games and the rides and, of course, the food. However, at a carnival not too far from my church, there was a shooting and a young girl lost her life. In years gone by, it wouldn't be at all out of the ordinary for me to bring my youth group or even a small kids group to a carnival that's just like the one that had that recent tragedy. And that got me thinking about some simple protocols that youth or even kids team members could use while on an outing with a group of kids. Maybe you're not at a carnival. Maybe you're at a roller skating rink or ice skating rink. Well, in today's video, we're going to talk about some simple safety measures you can enact when you're on an outing with a group. Before we get into this list, however, I want you to remember to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the insights or strategies that we give out on this channel every single week. Now, if you find yourself leading a group or leading an outing, whether it's to a local minor league baseball game or to an amusement park, I've put together some simple safety measures that you can put in place to help keep your people safe. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the importance of permission slips because those things ought to be given, right? Sometimes we slack on things that are considered basics, but those are the very things that we oftentimes need to focus on the most because those things can either make us or break us. But the first official safety tip on this list is going to be trust your gut. The human intuition has been keeping people alive since the beginning of time. If you have a gut feeling, don't hesitate. Trust it. Yusuf Badu is like a master of situational awareness. A few years ago, I was gifted an opportunity to interview him on a podcast that I was running at the time. I asked him to tell me a time when someone used something that he taught and it saved their life. Without hesitation, he told me a time when he taught one of his students at a seminar, and that student told his daughter about situational awareness and the importance of trusting your intuition. On October 1st, 2017, that man's daughter went to Las Vegas for a music festival. During the concert that the young woman was at during the day, she heard what she thought were fireworks. When she realized it was still in the middle of the day, something just didn't set well within her. She immediately told her boyfriend that they needed to leave. Something wasn't right. Later, they would find out the sounds of fireworks were actually sounds of gunshots. A man was in a hotel room 32 floors up, raining down more than 1,000 rounds at the innocent people below. 60 people lost their lives and more than 400 people were left injured. The point of that story is to trust your intuition. Don't explain your feelings away without a reasonable investigation. The second tip on this list is to know your exits before you need them. When I go to carnivals with my daughter, my first ride is always the Ferris wheel. My wife hates Ferris wheels. She hates going up high, but it's something that my daughter and I do every time we go. My daughter thinks it's probably just a daddy-daughter kind of a thing. She doesn't realize that I'm actually on a security detail and I'm trying to get some information. I ride the Ferris wheel or whatever high ride that I can get on so that I can get a clear bird's eye view and do what we call in the security industry an advanced planning before my family does anything else. See, the worst time to find an exit is in the middle of an emergency. I also make a point to find inconspicuous exits, meaning exits that aren't obvious. See, in an emergency, everyone's going to be rushing to the main doors, or at like an outdoor carnival, they're rushing to a main gate. Ask yourself, instead of running to the main gate or to the main door, is there a fence that you can climb over? I know you're not normally supposed to do those kinds of things in normal circumstances, but in an emergency, you need to know what your path of least resistance is going to be. I know climbing a fence or going out a window doesn't sound like the path of least resistance, but a fence is likely less resistant than 500 people who are bottlenecked at a narrow corridor. Now, the third piece of advice here is to stay in groups. This one might seem kind of basic. Everybody should be staying in groups, especially if you're out with a youth group or with a kids team. There's one caveat for this item, though. Stay in groups and make sure each group has a cell phone. And make sure before you split up, everybody turns their cell phones on and turns their ringers on. Make sure your vibration is on, because if you're at like a loud carnival, you might not hear a ringer. Going one step further with communications, if your church has a security team and that security team has some good radios, consider borrowing or renting out a few radios for the night. Don't worry too much about teaching your teens the correct radio etiquette. Just show them some basics of how to turn it on and how to transmit the message. Make sure they know to push the button, wait for a couple seconds, and then talk. Now, the last item on this list of safety tips is to change your plans. In Patrick Van Horn's book, Left of Bang, Patrick describes a combat rule of 3, which is a metric for how to gauge when you have to respond. Staying in step with that rule, I recommend if you have a youth group outing and you identify 3 yellow flags, 3 anomalies, 3 things that just kind of make your gut go, that doesn't make sense. Use that as a marker for having to do something, and that something that you do is probably change your plans or change your rules. Maybe that means instead of breaking up into groups of 3 or 4, everyone is going to stay together. Maybe instead of going to the carnival, you take your carnival money and go to like a Dave & Buster's instead. If none of those options are viable, there's no Dave & Buster's, no arcade nearby, and you have 3 anomalies, 3 yellow flags, maybe you just go ahead and cut your losses and go home.
I wanna go home.
Apologize to the kids, apologize to the parents. Tell them, listen, I'm so sorry. This was not my intention. Here's the truth. It would be better to leave an event early than to ignore pre-event indicators and have to explain to a parent why their kids were traumatized or worse. Now, thanks for joining me for this video. If you found value here, please hit the like button. If you think I missed something, or maybe there's something I could add, please put those things in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our valuable content. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video where we're going to dig a bit deeper into the concept of intuition.